A girl with a bright future accidentally darkens, scientists say, and everyone can see that there is another Earth in the sky. That other Earth could be a mirror image of this one, or it could have interesting differences. It might even hold a remedy to the girl's darkened present reality. We see an image of Jupiter in motion, as a lady narrates about it. As we see her party, she says she was 17 when she got accepted into Massachusetts Institute of Technology. She is Rhoda Williams. Driving in her car, Rhoda hears a man say on the radio that scientists discovered another planet that could support life. Meanwhile, a family sits in their vehicle at an intersection. Another car slams into them with considerable force. It was Rhoda. She gets out of her car and goes to check on the one she struck. The people there are not conscious. Then she observes a child lying on the ground. This action brings prison life to her for 4 years. When her time expires, she signs her release papers. While she does, we see on the news how the discovered planet gets talked about. It is described to be very similar to Earth. Rhoda walks outside as a free person. She looks at the sky and sees the other planet. Soon she gets picked up by her family. In the car, her brother, Jeff, mentions a man going to the other planet as part of a contest. After the ride, Rhoda enters her room for the first time in 4 years. She looks out the window to see the other Earth. On the internet, Rhoda discovers there is a chance to travel to the other Earth. If she writes a satisfactory 500 words on why she should go there, she could win a trip to the planet. Afterward, she reorganizes her room to perhaps match her cell life in prison. On another day, she gets a job as a maintenance personnel. We see her working, and also hear the man on the radio again talking about the planet. Later, Rhoda stands at the intersection where her accident took place. She spots a man exiting his truck nearby, and he places a toy near the pole. When he leaves, she comes there to look at it. This prompts her to search the internet for the crash at her home. She finds that the man awakened from a coma. He is John Burroughs, a professional musician. Rhoda also finds a way to contact him. Subsequently, she goes to the man's house. Spying through his window, she sees him there. Then she walks away and undresses in the snow. Perhaps from guilt, the girl lies in the cold and shivers as she looks at the other planet. Rhoda awakens at a hospital. We see no questions asked, she just appears back at home. She opens her laptop and now starts writing those 500 words. During writing, she states she is a felon and therefore is a likely candidate to travel to the other Earth. In a store, she meets Alex, a man she knows. She tells him she's a janitor now and meets his girlfriend, Claire. We see Rhoda working some more. Eventually, she goes to John's house again and knocks on his door. He opens it, but Rhoda struggles to tell him what she did. She ends up saying that she's from the cleaning service. John is not interested in that and closes the door, but he reopens it because she told him she offered a free cleaning trial. After confirming to him that she does, he lets her in. Rhoda notices the place is a mess. She wanders for a little while and soon starts cleaning. Some time passes, and John tells her to leave. At the door, he surprises her by saying he wants to keep it going. Rhoda tells him they might send someone else next time and leaves. She witnesses another lady coming to him. Back at home, her family celebrates because Jeff got accepted into a certain school. However, she suffers in her room and practices what she's going to say to John. The day comes, and she knocks on his door again. She attempts to tell him, but the man doesn't want to talk. As Rhoda cleans, she finds photos of his family, which causes her to cry. She washes her tears and informs John that she's finished. He states her check is in the kitchen. Following that, the girl stands at a train station and looks at the check. She cannot bring herself to use it and so tears it apart. Later, she collects more cleaning supplies. Rhoda comes to his house next time, but he doesn't answer. This prompts her to enter on her own. She sees him sleeping and starts cleaning. She also sets up a telescope, and he sees her do it. When she comes home, Rhoda observes her family watching a program of a SETI personnel, Joan Tallies, trying to make contact with the other Earth. She gets an answer from there that she's being heard, and the one who answers is her duplicate. They both discover they were born on the same date and had similar experiences. Rhoda's father thinks it's all a hoax. Afterward, Rhoda leaves the house and looks at the other Earth, which now looks closer. She then walks outside, while a man narrates for a while about people having the chance to meet their other selves from the other Earth. He speculates for a short time what it would be like. The next time Rhoda sees John, he takes out the telescope she set up. He asks her if she wants to look through it. She denies it at first, but looks through it soon enough. We witness how she looks at the surface of the other planet. When John's food arrives, he tells her she could join him. So she does, and they play a boxing game. After the game, the place looks very clean now. John tells her he can take her home, but she does not want him to. He insists that he could, and the girl is forced to accept. As they ride, they talk about the broadcast with Joan Tallies. They ask each other what they would say to their other self. Rhoda says she would be speechless. When he brings her home, he asks for her name, and she gives it to him. While doing janitor work at the school, her coworker tells her not to worry and to clear her mind. Rhoda is surprised at him telling her this. At John's place, she sees him doing some work on the house. He gets a headache from it and comes inside. Rhoda gives him some pills and starts telling him a story about a cosmonaut who is stuck in space with an annoying ticking sound. She says the solution for him is to fall in love with the sound to save his sanity. So the cosmonaut concentrates, turning the annoying sound into music instead in his mind. The rest of his time in space becomes a joyful experience. Later, John asks her why she cleans houses. Rhoda tells him that some people build or decorate them, and she cleans them. Then she wants to know if he heard about the contest to travel to the other Earth. She tells him she submitted her essay. John states she doesn't know what is out there, but that is her reason for wanting to go. To that, he starts telling her about Plato's allegory of the cave. He says people lived in a cave all their lives, and once one of them left. He came back to tell the others what he saw and got beaten for it. No one believed what he was talking about. Similarly, John says they are not ready to see the other Earth. This brings Rhoda to question if he would rather stay in the cave. He confirms that it would be better and then asks if she washed the sweater she is holding. He gets angry knowing that she did and tells her to go. On her way home, she hears more talk about the other Earth on a radio. On another day, Rhoda goes to work and discovers that her coworker applied bleach to himself and will not be coming back. Afterward, she walks near her house and sees John sitting in his truck on the sidewalk. She comes to him, and he tells her that he called about her at work, but they don't know her. She informs him that management changes regularly. He also becomes confused about his checks not being cashed. After telling him that she still gets paid, he says he's there to apologize. He also wants to take her somewhere, so she gets in and they ride. They arrive at an auditorium. Rhoda sits, and John gets on stage to perform with a saw. Strange sounds come from his playing. Rhoda imagines astronauts in space and becomes overtaken by the experience. When they come back to his house, they engage in romance. As they lie on the couch, John tells her where he was in his life before the accident. He follows that by saying his family was eliminated by a drunk driver. He got into a coma and could not get the name of the driver after waking because they were a minor. On the train back home, Rhoda enters the lavatory and looks at herself in the mirror. She does not know what to do and is overwhelmed by guilt. It brings her to vomit into the toilet. After that, she goes to the hospital to check on her coworker, Purdy. The nurse tells her that he can't see or hear anything. Upon Rhoda touching him, however, he recognizes that it's her. She lies near him, showing him that she cares, and he tells her she is wondering why he did it. He says she knows why. What comes next is her writing on his palm using her finger. We do not know what she writes, but Purdy starts crying. Following that, Rhoda meets Jeff playing basketball. He asks her if she wants to get high. Then he looks at the other Earth. He tells her the people she wrote to called her, and he placed their number at her door. She goes to her room and calls the number. A man named Keith Harding says her letter moved him, and that she's going into space. She walks on the beach, where the other Earth is now even bigger. Next, Rhoda arrives at John's house and hears skillful piano playing. She soon sees it's him playing. When he finishes, she gives him the news that she won the writing contest. John becomes delighted and wants to celebrate. He takes the girl to the kitchen and prepares some drinks. After saying that he's happy for her, they drink to her achievement and kiss. Later, they feast and converse about some details of her flying. Eventually, John tells her softly that he doesn't want her to go. He even pleads for it and adds they are very close to having something. Rhoda, however, says they cannot, and John questions why that is. While he speaks, she remembers the accident and especially his lifeless son. Not being able to take it anymore, she sits and holds in her tears. She wants to tell him a story, saying that if she tells it and he still wants her to stay, then she will. Rhoda begins by saying there was a naive and reckless girl that did something unforgivable. One day she goes to apologize and loses her nerve. But the girl is weak and lies to him. She wants to make his life better however she can, waking up every day to do just that. When Rhoda says it was really a way to survive what she had done, John realizes what she's saying, and stands to walk away. Rhoda states that she hopes she makes him happy, and that he certainly makes her happy. The man sits, and she tells him it was her who took his family away. John loses control to hearing such a revelation, and tells her to leave. Then he yells that she did it. Rhoda leaves and he sits there, taking it in and suffering. Back at her house, Rhoda's parents watch the TV, seeing how their daughter is the winner of the writing contest. She soon arrives home, and has to move through reporters near her house. Inside, her parents confront her about why she did not tell them. She responds she did not know whether she was going or not, but now she says she is. Later, she takes the family photo out of its frame to take with her. She watches the man on the television saying how things could be different on the other Earth. One slight movement that could be different might create a significant difference. Upon hearing that, Rhoda rushes to John's house. She gets there and knocks on his door, but he tells her to stay away from him. This brings her to climb through his window. She calls out to him once inside. John, however, does not answer. Soon she comes to a locked door and says she has something to explain to him. With that, he rushes out and starts strangling Rhoda. When he lets go, the girl falls. She stands and tells him that the scientists think the moment they saw the other Earth was the moment when synchronicity was broken. She believes his family might be up there. John stands listening with his back turned to her, and she leaves her ticket with him before going. He turns his head with emotional interest as soon as she's gone. At some other time, Rhoda prepares her room to be more colorful. At work, she sees John on the TV, dressed in an astronaut uniform. He used the ticket she left to go into space. He says he is nervous and excited to the reporter. 4 months later, Rhoda walks outside. She walks and wonders, and eventually encounters the other her near her house. They stand looking at each other for a few seconds, and are both speechless.